rugby started in the spring of 1995 here at Clarion. Dawn Eisenberg, she had watched a couple of the men's club matches and she decided that she wanted to start a women's club. And she was friends with my sister, so she asked me to help her out, so that's kind of how I got involved. So it wasn't my idea, but I helped coaching right from the beginning.
We used to have to actually practice on a cow patch, and it was in the middle of nowhere. We had no equipment, no sponsorship, no money to do anything. We raised everything ourselves. We had to pay for everything ourselves. Brian Frank, our coach, he's done a lot, and Doug Knepp, he's the director of club sports. He's actually gotten us a lot of grants, and the Student Senate has sponsored us through a lot. So we've gone from having absolutely nothing to having one of the best fields in the whole ARU.
I think that the biggest stigma is that you have to be like big and beefy and really strong and everything, and if you actually look at a lot of the rugby teams, a lot of them are smaller and faster, and I think that that's the biggest stigma behind it. And then of course there's stigmas behind any girls that play sports, that like you're butch and things like that. So
well, me personally, I like to brag about the fact that I play rugby because I just think it's one of the most awesome sports. But a lot of the times when I'm in class and we're doing fundraisers or things like that, I usually say, well, I play rugby, and a lot of people will go, oh my goodness, you know, isn't that a tough sport? Why would you do that? And then they see me come in with bruises and they're like, see, it's for crazy people. You have to be nuts to play rugby. And I just think that a lot of them are ignorant to the subject because they don't know what rugby is. They just see what they see on me, and you could trip on a curb and get a bruise, and I just happen to play rugby and get a bruise. And I mean, rugby's just a contact sport, so is basketball and so is football, and they all have bumps and bruises, so it's a lot of the same that every other sport does. A lot of people are just scared.
They're all like, you play rugby? Are you serious? Like, you're this big around. They all think it's pretty funny, which I like. I like that they look at me and they go, really? You go out there and you hit all those girls? Like, that's hilarious.
When I tell people I play rugby, I think they're a little bit surprised just because it is a really rough sport, and I don't know, a lot of people, I guess, don't think girls are that tough, so they're a little bit surprised.
Society and people are just ignorant to the whole fact of homosexuality itself, and I hear it, and they hear, you know, you hear it for rugby and you hear it for softball, that they're just a bunch of big butch lesbians or big dykes, and I mean, that's frustrating because as you will see, we're normal human beings, and we don't like to think that we're ugly or we're butch or we're any different than any other girls, and you know, they're straight, and it's just one of those things that it's just a stereotype, it's just a stigma. Rugby is rugby, and we enjoy being together and being a team, and if that makes us butch lesbians, then it makes us butch lesbians. A lot of people, they often are like, oh, do you like girls? You know, they often automatically assume that and that kind of thing, and they're like, you're a man, and they say all kinds of rude things like that, but I don't think that we're butch at all.
Just a great group of girls. They're fun to be around, they're fun to play with, make really good friends playing the sport, and it's just a really great way to get your stress out after class, after a test, after anything.
The whole like family environment, I love my team, they're like my family, and then just, you know, whenever you're having a bad day, just going out and just beating the snot out of someone, that makes you feel really good.
To be a university sport, it has a lot to do with the Title IX, with the equal for males and females. So right now there's not room for us, and it's such a liability because rugby has a stigma of always people getting hurt and a lot of injuries, and one of the requirements is to have health insurance. So I mean, it is a sport where it's a lot of contact, but I mean, we teach proper safety, so you know, we have very limited number of injuries.
Pretty much nationwide, most rugby clubs are club status. There's a few that have varsity status across the country, but they're pretty rare. So I think it's a developing sport, but it hasn't quite reached the varsity level yet. So I think it's really beginning to gain acceptance as a more of a mainstream sport here in America, whereas 10, 15 years ago it was seen as a little bit more of a non-traditional sport.
It's there's only 2 university named sports, and I think it's Westchester and Penn State. They're the only 2 that are sponsored by their school, so we're on a nice uphill, but we're not there yet.